Hello, welcome back to Reading with Mo, and welcome to my mid-year freakout tag. As I'm sure everyone always says, I can't believe it's already halfway through 2025, and I'm just excited to be able to kind of reflect back on and talk about how my reading year has been going so far. And I pulled these questions from a few different tags that I've seen on going around on YouTube right now. And so the first one is the best book that you've read so far in 2025. And I have two books for this one. Okay, so probably I should be choosing one book for each of these questions, but I decided to some of them that I was going to choose two. So the first one I'm giving for the answer for best book of the year so far. I actually only have had 3 5-star reads so far, so it's not like this was very hard to choose from. So we have Sunrise on the Reaping, and this one's by Suzanne Collins, a return back to the Hunger Games books. It was just like talking to an old friend again. This book was so easy to fall into. Don't get me wrong, it was a very emotional book to go into as well, but I really enjoyed this one, and I listened to this one on audiobook. The other one I really enjoyed was Victorian Psycho by Virginia Feitos, I believe was her name. Virginia Feito. Hope I'm saying that right. I really love very short, dark, gothic books that are kind of like, especially if they're set around Victorian times, and this book was following a governess, I believe she was, that goes into this family's home. We have the parents and I believe 2 children. And something is definitely off with her, but the family is kind of odd as well too. And I just really thought it was a very atmospheric book, and I loved the writing on this one. Question number 2 is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2025. And that for sure has to go to Sunrise on the Reaping, once again by Suzanne Collins. It's also the only sequel that I have read so far this year, so by default, this one is winning. But even if it wasn't the only sequel, I feel like there's none other that would have tops this list for me. Number 3 is new release you haven't read yet, but want to. I have quite a few. Babylonia by Costanza Casati. I was just recording a haul not too long ago, so I have this one right on hand. And I really am going to read this book in July for sure, because it's one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and I haven't read it yet. I purchased it just specifically to make sure that I get to it soon. I'll show you guys a few other books as well. So we have The Dream Hotel. This book I was on my radar when it came out, and then I have heard good things about it since its release. So that one is going to be prioritized for me. And then we have Immaculate Conception. Similar to The Dream Hotel, I've heard good things since its release. This is the book here. I was lucky enough to win a copy of it on an Instagram giveaway. So this is also a new release that I'm definitely going to read before the end of the year. Question number 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't have necessarily one book. I kind of more so just look at the books that are going to be coming out in the next month or 2. So pretty much all the books that are coming out in July are books that I'm anticipating. I have a whole video. I can drop the link below of books that are coming out in the month of July that I'm interested in. There's 10 of them, and I'm trying to make that like a recurring monthly video. If new book releases are something that you're into, it's something that I'm into and interested in keeping up with. Even if I don't read them all, I like to just be aware of what books are coming out that I may be interested in. So keep a lookout for those, because those are videos I'm hoping to continue to make regularly. Number 5 is the biggest disappointment. And for me, I have 2 books I want to mention for this one. One that I read physically and one that was an audiobook. So the physical book that I read was Waterman. I should have known this was a DNF because it took me like 3-4 different attempts of starting from page 1 to actually keep going. But I just kept going because I had spent the money already on the book, and I had seen it going a lot around on Instagram as well. So I kind of wanted to be able to form my own thoughts if it was a book I wanted to recommend or not. And while I don't think it was like the worst book ever, I definitely wish I had spent my time reading something else, just because I feel like the premise sounded so interesting, following this pawn shop where people pawn their regrets, but then almost immediately we're like leaving the pawn shop. And to me, that was the most interesting part of the book. So that was a bit of a disappointment. And then the audiobook that I listened to was Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I went in with low expectations when I read Fourth Wing, and I enjoyed it much more than I thought I was going to. But then going into Iron Flame, I don't know. I listened to the audiobook same as I did for the first one, and I just could not be bothered to care about what was going on. I just felt like half the time I was checked out just because I was bored. I don't know, I just didn't really feel a strong connection or caring for the characters. And I'm not sure exactly what it was that lost me from book 1 to 2. And I think once I found out it was going to be, I think this is going to be like a 5 book series, I was just like, I think I'm going to cut it now because I don't want, these are very long audiobooks and I don't want to be wasting my time, that much time reading something that I'm not fully enjoying. So maybe I'll change my mind in the future and give it another shot, the series, but for now I think I'm cutting my losses here. Number 6 is the biggest surprise of the year, and for me that is When the Moon Hatched. This is not a book I would have picked up on my own, but I recently joined a book club here in South Florida, and this was the book that they chose not for last month but the month before. I didn't even end up getting to go to the book club meeting where everyone discussed this book because I think I already had something like going on that day. This book, I believe, was, you could put it in the category of romantasy. I went in with very low expectations because I'd never heard of it, and I just didn't think it was something I would pick up necessarily myself from the shelves. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I just went in with low expectations, and then the book definitely like grabbed my attention. It got me to keep going. I actually got the ebook version of this book when I was on my honeymoon, and so it was easy to read like during flights and stuff, not having to actually pull out a physical book. And then I ended up finishing it like a week or 2 after I got back, and I enjoyed it. It was a very fun adventure, and I feel like I will definitely be picking up the sequel. Number 7 is your favorite new author, debut, or new to you. For this one, I am going to put Virginia Fato, who wrote Victorian Psycho. I definitely want to pick up other books by hers. I believe she has another book out already that came out a few years ago. And so it's definitely, I wasn't interested in it before just from reading the premise of it, but now I'm more interested in going back and picking it up. And then we also have Kyra Davis Lurie, who wrote The Great Man. This is a retelling of The Great Gatsby, but set in LA in 1945, and we are following characters that are all living in the area of Sugar Hill, where like the Black elite people would live. That was the 3rd book that I gave a 5-star rating to this year, so I'm definitely going to be looking into if this author has written any other books or if this was the debut or not, but either way, I'm going to be reading more from this author. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush. I don't really usually overly connect to the male love interests in books that I read, but if I had to choose someone, I feel like also the books I choose, like the male main interests are that I read, the male main interests, they aren't necessarily people that you would want to be with. And so it's hard to be like, oh, I'm like really crushing over this person. Like, no. But if I had to choose someone from all the books that I've read so far this year, I would choose Con from When the Moon Hatched. Question number 9 is newest favorite character. For this, even though it's not a new character, I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I'm choosing Haymitch from Sunrise on the Reaping because he was a character I always liked, but he was never like my favorite character. But now, especially, you know, after reading Sunrise on the Reaping, yeah, he's definitely my newest favorite character of this year, a character that I will think about for the rest of my life, probably. And number 10 is a book that made you cry. I don't cry very often at all in books, but there is one book which you're probably sick of me talking about because it's been the answer for multiple of these questions, and that is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. It's the only book that I can recall that made me cry this year. There might have been one other one, and I was trying so hard to think about what it could be, and I could not remember, so this is the one that I have to go with. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy, and I would say a novel love story because not only is it a very beautiful book, let me just grab it real quick. This is the edition that I have, and it's from Fairy Loot. It's very beautifully designed book, but it also made me happy because I don't really read a lot of books that make me happy, to be honest. I feel like when I'm reading, I look for books that make me feel pain. I don't know, that's a question for another time, but I don't read a lot of things that are like happy, cozy, feel-good books. That's just not what I look for when I'm reading. And I don't read a lot of romance at all, but I'm starting to dabble in romance just a little bit to see if I can find what it is that I would like in romance books. And I would say I really enjoyed this book, not just because of the book setting itself, although I did enjoy the setting. We're following our main character as she's getting to explore this fictional world that she loves in the books that are her favorite books. So that already makes it something that I can live vicariously through. But also I read it, the time that I read this book also contributed to why this book made me happy because I was reading it on my honeymoon. So that would be the book that I would choose for a book that made you happy. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. That is a very hard question because I have purchased and received some very beautiful books this year. But if I had to choose just a couple to share with you guys and then watch my latest book haul video, if it's not out yet, it will be the video out within the next week or so. And I have so many beautiful books in that video to share with you guys. The one I just showed you, A Novel Love Story, that would definitely be on the list, but two other contenders would be A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This edition is by Blue Lead Blue, and I just love it so much. I love that I can have it now on the shelves with the first book in the series. And then we have a classic, and that's The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. This one is published by Lit Joy Crate, and this is also a very beautiful edition of a book. It's really hard for me to just pick one book that's most beautiful that I have acquired this year. Okay, welcome back. If I look a little bit different, it is because it has been about 12 hours since I was last recording in that last clip. I ran out of time and I had to go to work before I could finish up the last few questions. The last question that I left off on was, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So for sure, I would really like to read all of the books that I've purchased this year. I'm really trying to do better at reading books as soon as I buy them, or if not as soon, at least very close to when I buy them. If you watch my most recent book haul video, which should be up either the video before this one or the video after this one, most likely, I talked about all the books that I have bought this year. So yeah, the ones that in there that I haven't read yet are ones I need to read. But if I have to say a specific book, Gardens of the Moon, that book by Malazan, I have had on my TBR for years at this point, and I had just been putting it off, and I really seen these beautiful special editions. I think Broken Binding is the one who produces them, and so I want to read the first book in the series to decide if this is a series that I think I will see all the way through, or if I'm not really that interested in it and I should just save my coins and not splurge on these special editions. The next question leads to being able to shout out fellow booktubers, and that is favorite book community member. I do have a few. I do not have just one that I have recently discovered within the past 6 months that I now watch their content regularly. So there are 1, 2, 3, technically 5, but one of them is a sister duo. So we have 4 channels that I wanted to mention to you guys. The first is Jack Edwards. I really love his videos. I feel like he talks a lot about a lot of literary fiction and stuff, and that is a genre that I really love. Then we have Plant-Based Bride. I love her video aesthetics, as well as the books that she picks up are books that I'm interested in hearing about. She does read a lot of mystery thriller, but I feel like we have a lot of overlap in the genres that we're interested in. Then we have Lit Vibes with 5. There are a lot of books that he talks about that I've either already read or I'm interested in reading, so I definitely am always going to subscribe to someone who I feel like our reading tastes just align, and our reading tastes definitely very much align. And then last but not least, we have Kristen and Maddie, and they have a YouTube channel and a podcast, I believe, and they're very cute. They're 2 sisters who make their YouTube videos together. They're very much like the sit-down vibes, conversational, listening to family members speak type of content that I find very calming and enjoyable to listen to with all of my favorite, with any booktuber I listen to in general. They have to be somebody that I can put on 2 times speed and be able to listen to while I am doing other things, because I very rarely just sit down and watch a YouTube video. I will be doing other things at the same time, like driving, cleaning, doing my hair or makeup in the morning or whatever. So these are all people that I hope continue to create content, because I'm very much enjoying what they're putting out. Okay, next we have favorite book to film adaptation that you've seen this year. So there's not a lot that I've seen this year, to be honest. I have not had much time to really watch a lot of TV and a lot of movies, but there are a few that I've watched that were adaptations. I would say though, my favorite, I just rewatched all the entire Hunger Games movies for the first time since, I think the last time I did a rewatch was during the pandemic, so 2020. And I enjoyed them all. My husband hadn't seen a few of them yet, so we stayed up late one night watching all of them, and I just forgot every time I watch, it's not that I forget, every time I watch them, I remember how much I really enjoy that franchise, and I'm so looking forward to Sunrise and the Reaping to come out. But the next 6 months of this year potentially do have a lot of book to screen adaptations coming out. I recently recorded a video talking about 12 that are supposed to be coming out within the next 12-ish months or so. So if book to screen adaptations are your thing, I would definitely recommend checking that out to see if there's some that are coming out you potentially haven't heard of yet. And then the last question to round out this video is the favorite video I have made so far this year. I recently returned back to making videos this year, and regularly only in the last month. So I don't have a lot of content at the moment to choose of like what would be my favorite video that I've made so far this year, but I would say be tied between two of them for different reasons. The first would be my bookshelf reorganization video, because that was just so satisfying. I had been wanting to set up bookshelves in my new place for so long, and even when I had them set up, I just shoved everything on there just to get everything out of the boxes as I'm unpacking the rest of my apartment. So then it took me months before I had a chance to go back in and actually make the shelves look more like how I ideally would like them to look like. How they are now, I feel like I'm happy with them, but I don't think they're going to last like this very long, at least maybe another 6 months. And then I'm going to want to refresh and I don't know exactly how I want to organize them, but how they are now, I don't hate, but I feel like it's not top tier level. It's not at the full potential that it could be yet. So that video was one of my favorites. And then also I did a 24-hour reading vlog, which was very fun. I haven't done a reading vlog in so long. So I mainly was just proud of myself for doing it and actually sticking with it, because a lot of times I've told myself I was going to do one, but then I let my inner laziness kick in, or I just start getting like camera shy and I don't want to do it. I don't want to record my life outside of just sitting down and talking about YouTube videos, but I really like that one because it was very short, very to the point, and I got to really taste test a lot of different books, which was kind of a good and bad thing, because then I ended up being in the middle of like 6 different books for weeks, and that was a little bit stressful. But other than that, like I really enjoyed it, and now I feel like it's something that I want to incorporate into my regular monthly lineup of videos, hopefully doing a 24-hour reading vlog at least once a month. So that's it for the mid-year freakout tag. I don't think there's any other bookish updates to give at this moment. My Goodreads goal is at 100, and right now, as of July 3rd, I am at 30, which means I am 20 books behind schedule. So I have a lot of reading to catch up on in the next half of the year, but fortunately audiobooks are my savior, so that's the only way I may potentially catch up to my goal. But if I don't, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. But let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you around soon. Bye.